Older millennials were told adulthood would eventually become stable, yet many reached each milestone just as the surrounding rules were changing. The job arrives, then restructures. Rent rises, a relationship changes, and the next supposedly permanent stage starts looking negotiable again. You may recognize it at a kitchen table. Good news arrives, and almost immediately your mind begins calculating how long it can last. A spreadsheet can explain the budget, but it cannot explain why repeated uncertainty teaches a person to treat permanence with suspicion. Many came of age while older scripts still described adulthood as a sequence: education, work, home, partnership, then greater security. When the expected sequence loosened, keeping a spare plan, extra skill, or emergency fund could feel less anxious than simply being prepared. They remember paper applications and landlines, then watched work, dating, banking, friendship, and identity move rapidly onto screens. School often presented qualifications as doors into adult security, making education feel connected to a future that could be planned. Then the workplace introduced a different lesson. Companies changed, roles disappeared, industries reorganized, and loyalty did not always guarantee continuity. For many older millennials, the 2008 financial crisis arrived near the beginning of adult working life, when foundations were still being built. At the same time, housing, partnership, and parenthood remained powerful symbols of adulthood, even when reaching them became less predictable. The message became contradictory: sign the lease, build the career, plan the family, but keep enough flexibility to survive another change. One adaptation is optionality: keeping another skill, another plan, another income possibility, or simply enough emotional room to change direction. This can look indecisive from outside, yet keeping doors open makes sense when closed doors once proved difficult to reopen. Another adaptation is cautious celebration, where a promotion, new home, or good year brings pleasure alongside an immediate inventory of what could go wrong. Someone good at recovering may choose the safer contract, smaller commitment, or easier exit, because survivability starts competing with desire. Resourcefulness shows up in updated software, side skills, careful budgets, and the confidence to rebuild a plan when circumstances move. Trouble starts when every promising offer, relationship, or purchase is quietly tested against the question, how painful would this be to lose? A partner may hear hesitation about buying a home as lack of commitment, while the older millennial may hear a 30-year obligation. At work, a good salary can still coexist with an updated resume, saved contacts, and the habit of watching where the market moves. Even rest can become conditional. Enjoy the weekend, but keep one eye on the inbox, the bank balance, or the next possible disruption. Friends may compare milestones and wonder who finally made it, while privately knowing that marriage, ownership, or promotion no longer guarantees permanence. A younger colleague may call this pessimism, while an older relative may see another delayed decision and wonder why commitment takes so long. To the person holding the contract, hesitation can feel less like avoiding adulthood and more like refusing to confuse paperwork with permanence. Two older millennials can face the same mortgage or career choice very differently because income, family support, personality, and luck alter the stakes. A person in their 40s may also question security simply because midlife changes priorities. Generation is only one part of the picture. The contradiction remains. The packed emergency folder and adaptable resume can prove resilience while making a genuinely secure Tuesday feel strangely temporary. The larger pattern is not simply that stability disappeared. It is that stability changed from a destination into something that must be continually maintained. A generation could grow up hearing that adult life eventually settles, then discover that jobs, housing, technology, and relationships all require repeated adjustment. That experience rewards the person who keeps documents organized, skills current, savings protected, and expectations flexible. Eventually, the practical response can become an identity. I am the person who can adapt when the plan changes. The strength is obvious when a company restructures, a move becomes necessary, or a household budget tightens. Yet the same identity can make calm periods feel provisional because competence has been built around responding to movement. Stability is finally present, but part of the mind remains employed as its contingency planner. Picture an older millennial sitting at a kitchen table with a partner, looking at mortgage figures, childcare costs, or a promising new job. One person may see the next chapter, the other immediately sees the ways it could unravel. That difference can create friction because caution does not always sound like care when someone else is asking for confidence. At work, colleagues may admire adaptability without noticing the exhaustion of always maintaining a backup plan. Friends may hear sensible realism where the person privately feels unable to relax into good news. Even success can become strangely demanding when every achievement triggers another round of risk calculation. Giving up that vigilance is difficult because it once helped them recover, pivot, and stay functional. The challenge is not learning resilience. Many already have it. The harder task is recognizing when resilience is no longer required every minute. The milestone is still there. The keys, the contract, the wedding ring, the promotion email, the quiet evening when nothing appears to be falling apart. What changes is the meaning attached to it. For an older millennial shaped by repeated adjustment, stability may never feel like a permanent condition granted by adulthood. It can become a temporary reality worth inhabiting without demanding certainty from it. That reframe does not require abandoning caution, ambition, or the ability to pivot. It means noticing when an old protective skill has begun treating every good season like the waiting room before another disruption. If this pattern feels familiar, the goal is not to believe that nothing will change. Probably will. The deeper freedom is discovering that uncertainty and security can coexist and that a life does not need guarantees before it can feel real.